Welcome to this week's episode of the Tattoo Marketing Podcast. On today's episode, we have the legend Jody Underhill, owner of Rapid Hire Pro, and one of the best in the US, if not the planet, on acquiring good talent for companies. We talk about finding quality artists for your shop, upgrading your hiring process, and how to treat your employees. Great episode. Enjoy. Super excited to have you here, Jody. I know we've recorded one of these before, and I think your knowledge and what you do would be great for tattoo shop owners when they are looking to hire a new artist. Because that's one of the questions we get a lot is, hey, how should I go about this? Because there's not a lot of information on it. Normally now it's completely done by referrals. Usually if I bring up something like Indeed, it's like, oh, that's, what is that? And for people like us, like that's how we do our hiring. So just getting your knowledge today, I think is gonna be pretty awesome.
I appreciate it, Jesse. Thank you for letting me be on here today. It's a little bit about my background. One of the reasons that I'm the guy if you're talking, a lot of times people want to know, well, what's this guy? I've never seen him or heard of him before. Is my background is actually in marketing, not in recruiting. My background in marketing comes from being very successful doing local marketing, much like what you do, Jesse, for the tattoo artists and tattoo parlors, is making it, helping them get customers. And then along the way, what we found is a lot of businesses need these days, especially home services, which is where we focus, is they're having trouble finding qualified employees. So we kind of shifted what we do from marketing for customers, and we shifted it to where we do marketing for employees, or candidates rather. And then we bring them in and we bring them through a filtering process to kind of match the avatar that our clients are looking for. And depending on the kind of business it is, I mean, because you can have, you think it, but there's like 8 different positions at an air conditioning company, right? There's an installer and a technician, a customer service rep, dispatcher, a call-to-call manager, an operations manager, a warehouse person. There's all these different positions there that they have. And then the same thing happens, whether it's plumbing, whether it's electrical, those kind of things, and they have trouble finding them. And they all have different qualifications. So what we did is we sort of looked at doing it the same way, just like bringing a lead in and nurturing it for a customer. We bring the leads in and nurture it for candidates, and then filter them to find the right kind of people that they're looking for. So a lot of it is, if you look at from the standpoint of what is the perfect avatar. So I know that you've talked to your customers a lot, and they've talked to you about recruiting or hiring people. So what do they typically look for? What is a typical tattoo? I don't know if tattoo parlor is the right name. That may be old school. I don't know. That's where I got mine, was at a tattoo parlor. That's what they called it back in the day. But what do they typically say helps them identify or what they're looking for when it comes to finding a good artist to bring in and have them be in their shop?
Well, what we see shop owners typically looking for is a good artist. And I mean, I think a lot of the emphasis is put on the art, which of course it should be, as somebody that's representing your shop. But I think one of the things that we also see is a lot of turnover in some shops, and that is because they're going strictly off the art, not off the personality, not if they're going to fit well with the other artists. And I think that's something that I'm hoping we could talk about, because I think that is a big part that's missing.
Yeah, absolutely. Because when it comes down to it, they've got to match the energy, right, of the shop. Their personality has to be such that they meld and gel with the other people in the shop, with the customers. And I mean, you can have people that are great artists that are horrible at communication, right? So usually a lot of times it's a mixture, just like in what we do with, you can have a great service technician that knows everything there is to know about fixing an air conditioner, but they're horrible at talking to the homeowner. That's not really a good fit anymore in the industry. It is about their skill of being able to diagnose and repair, but they have to also be able to sell the homeowner on the best solution for whatever their issue is. So one of the things, in looking at it, the reason I mentioned the books is like when I got my tattoos, went in, looked at the books, looked at what different things. I knew what I wanted because what I have on my arm is kind of unique, but I wanted to kind of see the work that the person had done before. And looking at it, so there's always the artwork, and there's a number of different ways. So I'm just kind of walk through what we do and how we kind of, and see if there's anything that maps itself over that might be useful for in the tattoo world. So the first thing we do is, yes, there's Indeed and Simply Hired and ZipRecruiter, but the thing is, most of the people that you want to hire, if they're any good, they're already working somewhere else. I mean, if they're any good, they're working somewhere else. It's not that many great artists that are bouncing around just looking for something. So what we just like, there's not many great HVAC technicians or electricians or plumbers that are out there looking. They're already working somewhere and they're doing pretty well. So what we do is we want to get the information in front of them whenever they're scrolling through social media, because whether on Facebook or Instagram, we advertise in both places. What you have to do, since we know they're already working somewhere, is we have to have something very attractive to get their attention. Whether it's the pay, whether it's the number of people that come in the shop, whether they can have an unlimited supply and unlimited lead flow coming in for them to do their artwork on. What are those things that separate you from where they may be working now? You'll know more of what those things are. Like for us, it's work-life balance. That they're able to take the trucks home, they're able to dispatch from home. It could be that the same thing. There may be work-life balance things that happen in the tattoo industry, or some different, or freedom of doing their own thing or whatever. Identify those things that will get their attention when they're just scrolling through Facebook or Instagram, so that they take their time and click on the link to learn more about it. When we do that, what we do is we just capture their information, first name, last name, email, and phone number. And then we start communicating with them. We take them off of social media and we start communicating with them via text and email, because they've given us that information, right? They've given us their cell phone, they've given us their email. So we start, send them a link to fill out an application. So what I would do, and what we do is, after they fill out the application, we have them do a skills assessment, which is probably kind of hard to do, in the tattoo world. But what we do in home services, it's not, do you know how to split a fitting or wire a breaker? It's situational awareness. You come across a situation never seen before. Do you call your supervisor, call a friend, watch a video, a YouTube video, or do the best you can? Those kind of things. And then after that, they have to pass that part. And then when they do, then we have them do a personality profile. And the one that we use is called the DISC assessment. And what the DISC assessment does is it looks at 4 different areas and it scores them in each of those 4 areas. So I would assume that with an artist, they probably want them to be higher on the I, which is the D and the I, which is basically direct and an influencer types role, more than the cautious thinker, steady relator. Now, it could be, there's a mixture always of every one, but it's identifying. And a great way to do that, if you're going to use the DISC profile, is take some of the best people that and your friends or whatever in the industry, or people that work for you at your shop, and have them take the DISC profile to identify the great ones. Is there any correlation between the way they score? And we've done that. We work with over 250 home service companies across the US and Canada. And by having the different employees take that across the board, we're able to identify what maps over to be able to sort of predict what somebody's personality needs to be, so that the personality not only fits, but you're also able to identify their values. And that goes a long way to making sure that they're going to be a team member. Because one of the things we've even changed up, instead of recruiting employees for you, is we build kick-ass teams. And we do that based on identifying what your values are, what the core values are, what your mission is, what's to make your unique selling proposition, to make sure that they align. And so the DISC profile, and you can get them done. I mean, you can sign up for a subscription. It's pretty simple. They're like, I don't even know what we pay, but it's not that expensive to do them. And it's for the value that you get out of having them do it. It'll also help you understand how the people that already work with you think and act as well. It kind of gives you a blueprint into knowing how to speak with them, because there's actually ways to know how, based on things they say and the way they phrase things, you can identify what they are as far as what their leading category is, to be able to handle that. And then after we do that, we have them do an automated video interview. And this our clients love, because what they're able to do is it's on an app. They go in and the question pops up and the camera counts down, and they basically, the first question we always ask is, what's your favorite sport and what drives you to win? And then we ask the questions that tell us about your customer service experience. What is your greatest accomplishment so far? Those kind of things. And some of our clients ask them questions like, explain to me the purpose of a traveler on a four-way switch, right? To see for an electrician to make sure they know what that even is for. I don't know what those would be in the tattoo industry, but the thing is, it's not so much about their answer to the questions as it is what you see, how they communicate, and how they respond on the spot to the questions, because they read the question and then it only gives them about 3 seconds to think. It counts down 3, 2, 1, and starts recording. So if you look at it, you have people that are driving when they're doing it. So for our industry, that's very unsafe, and we don't want anybody that's driving talking on that's doing a video. If they're being recorded, we have people that don't bother to get out of bed. They're just laying there and be like, "Yo, so my fate," and they answer the question. Or you have it that looks like they're often on the set of Hoarders in the background. Well, if that's what it looks like where they're sitting doing that video, that's how they're going to treat your shop. I mean, that's with our clients, with our in home services, that's how they're going to treat the truck. That's how the inside of their van's going to look. So those things are leading indicators. The other thing is, you never know what you're going to get, and the fact of what they're going to do when they don't realize the camera's running. So my favorite one is a guy in Las Vegas, didn't realize the camera was rolling, tapped around for about a minute. Now he's wearing a logoed shirt, sitting in a company van, picks up a one-hitter pipe and fires it up. Just and people are asked, they're like, "Oh, that's not fair. Marijuana is legal in Las Vegas." I'm like, "Yes, so Jack Daniels, but you don't do shots when you're doing a video interview." It kind of like, is that really the best thing to do? And so all of those things kind of are some of the intangibles that you're able to see. And I was like, explaining to people, it's like, so don't judge a book by its cover, but you kind of can. So if I was to apply for an apprenticeship to be a tattoo artist, you probably would not hire me, because I look like I'd be better suited to be a shopping mall Santa Claus rather than learning a new skill at my age. So you're able to do that and make that determination. So that's that step. And then from there, it's the interview. And the good news is like most interviews are in person, but I know, Jesse, we were talking a little bit, sometimes they're looking to attract artists from other cities because maybe it's tapped out in their city. And so with that, you can always do that interview. You have the automated video interview, but you can also do, like we're doing right now, a Zoom meeting. So you're able to talk to them and see how they communicate, because it's kind of hard to hide things on that as well. Maybe face to face, there are some things if you want to see the intricacy of the artwork on their arms or something, but with Zoom, you can do a lot of those things. So is there anything, if you want to stop me or ask me anything on what I've said so far, because I'll just keep talking. I'll just keep going and going, because I am, I'm passionate about doing this and helping people and solving some things very easily that most people struggle with.
I think two things I definitely wanted to touch on or just kind of reiterate are doing the disc profile and doing it on your favorite or your best artist that you like working with in your shop to get kind of a base level of what you're looking for. Because those personality tests are stuff I've used too to hire people. And it's amazing how useful they can be, because you do learn their traits, and if they're going to at least, for the most part, be a good fit. So doing that, and then I love the video interview thing, because we do that as well, where we have somebody, it's an automated thing where they answer a couple of questions, but like you said, you get to see if they're taking this seriously. I mean, we've seen that too, where there's a house and it's just disgusting, and you're like, I don't think anybody would want that working in their shop, because their chair is going to be a mess, their station's going to be a mess. So far, like, just wanting to kind of reiterate those two things that are, just those two are game changers.
Yeah, if you just did, and like I said, I've got a lot of stuff on the show. If you just did one or two of them, it's going to revolutionize what most people are doing, especially if there's competition, right? Now, you mentioned they may be in another city, right? And so if you look at it, and I'm going to give an example of some things that we've done. So as we have plumbing companies, electrical companies, air conditioning companies that are in locations where there's a lot of work, but there's not a lot of people that would be an employment candidate. It's like, well, give me an example. Okay, Vail, Colorado, right? The average home in Vail, Colorado, the average home is nearly $2 million for the average home.
Wow.
So the And I mean, it goes up. I mean, they do plumbing remodeling jobs that are over $1 million on homes that are in the Vail and Eagle, Colorado. So so if you look at it though, the population, it's not just that, but it's also limited population. There's 58,000 people is the population of Vail, Colorado. How many of those could be plumbers that have experience that are not currently working for the company that we recruit for? Very few people. It's very minuscule. So trying to get people to getting leads, much less people to apply and go through the process, is pretty much so. You have to do things like recruit out of Denver, because it's like 3.5 hours from Denver to Vail, but you got to get them that are wanting to leave the city and come live, work, and play in the mountains. But then we go a step farther than that, because then it's okay. Whereas other cities that could be that they want to leave out of there. So we've recruited plumbers out of Los Angeles to come to Vail, out of Miami to come to Vail, out of Boston, out of Chicago, out of all these different places that want to move to Vail. Now, we've done the same thing with a company with a HVAC company. Actually, it's more of a heating company, and in Idaho by a ski resort. So there's things you can do like that, where if you know that there's a population of people that might fit what you're looking for, you can put the ads there. And that doesn't mean just for Facebook and Instagram. I mean, you can target those areas on LinkedIn, but Indeed or Simply Hired or ZipRecruiter. Not sure that, so most of the people that we work with, though, by the time they're talking to us, they've exhausted the job boards, because let's face it, most of the people that are going to the job boards don't have a job, or they're really unhappy, or there's a reason they're going to the job boards. We want to get their attention whenever they're not necessarily looking for not looking for something new. That way, and plus you got to make sure that it's really cool. That's got to get their attention visually. Now, I can't imagine tattoo artists being able to put together graphics that get people's attention visually. But the thing is like using a picture of your shop, a picture of where they would be working, a picture of somebody getting a tattoo in your shop where they're both happy, where the artist and the person getting it, because you want to position it so that it's something that gets your attention, but also has a good feeling to it. Now, granted, there's not a lot of people that smile when they're getting a tattoo, because it pinches a little bit, but having them smiling whenever they're looking at the result in the mirror, that kind of thing, but showing them a better situation than what they're currently in. Now, we do it because a lot of our clients have gone through rebranding. They got beautiful vans, and they've got people. We get pictures of smiling employees doing work. You can do the same thing with the ads, for a tattoo artist. They're doing the same thing. A picture of what the shop looks like, and making it where they'd be working, because that has a lot to do with it. So work-life balance is a big deal for us in the home services. We say things in the ads like, company truck, company gas card, take the truck home, dispatch from home, meaning they get to start their day in their driveway. So they're able to get off in time to go to their kids' soccer games or softball games. Those kind of things make a big deal. And so what are the things that are important to an artist? I don't know what those things are, but you or the owners of the tattoo shops will know what are those things that cause people to want to come to work for you. Highlight those things. Interview the artists that are currently there. Just ask them, hey, why do you choose to work here over anywhere else? They'll tell you things sometimes that you wouldn't think of yourself. Just asking them, why do you work here? What do you like best about working here? Because a lot of people, so we had one, it's a air conditioning company in Tucson, Arizona, and the reason the employees like working there, it's like, well, we got, everything is really great. Y'all are really nice to us. We have the company events, but I really love the fact that we have a fully stocked break room. So we put that on the ads, fully stocked break room. That got more comments than the healthcare coverage or anything else, was the fully stocked break room. So by asking them why, they'll tell you stuff that you might not think of yourself.
That's a great idea. I wouldn't have thought of that. And I think with tattoo shops, since the artists are 1099, like there's almost like they get supplies and stuff like that. But I don't think it would be, it wouldn't be very hard for a shop owner to put themselves above the rest with something as simple as a fully stocked break room, or some kind of medical insurance, or just going you wouldn't need to go so crazy above and beyond because there's not there's not really a bar set yet. That's high.
Yeah, it could be something, even if, I mean, because they're 1099, right? So we have 1099s that work for us, but I guarantee if I played a video for you of why the people work for us, that it would blow your mind, the fact that you would never guess that they were 1099 contractors. They feel like they're employees because we treat them like their family, because we take care of things, take care of things for them. We have, we had one employee that was going to have to drive 8 hours somewhere to go visit a family member because of a health concern. And I said, no, we'll buy you a plane ticket because it's worth more for us for you to be able to fly there in an hour and a half and be there rather than spend 8 hours driving, then spend time there and then spend 8 hours driving back. You're able to get there quicker, be able to get there because it is a health concern, take care of what you have to do so that you're in a better frame of mind for continuing to do what you need to do to support the business. Not to take anything away, but to make it so that it gave them peace of mind. I mean, those are the things that people will. So here's the other thing, identify. People don't come to work for your dreams, right? So there's this guy, company owner, who had the employee meeting, said, hey guys, just want to let you know we had a banner year and we did so well, we made so much profit, I was able to buy a brand new Ferrari. You saw it out in the parking lot. And here's the thing, if you guys do the same thing again next year and we just do a little bit better and we close a few more deals, run on a few more calls, next year I'll be able to get a blue one. They don't come to where they don't care if it's you have a Ferrari or you get a blue one. What they care, they come to work for their dreams, not yours. Understanding a little bit about what their goals are. Now, granted, this you can't advertise for that. I'm talking about keeping them now. The retention, the engagement, just understanding what's important to them. An understanding of what their kids' names are, those kind of things, or what their goals are, what they're looking to do, and helping them do those things. That's why and we're in a position now with our company where we have people coming to us asking us if we have open positions. We have, as a matter of fact, the guy that produces our podcast, he came back and said, hey, if you guys ever have an opening for somebody in marketing, I would love to come work for you, right? So because seeing what we do. And that's the same thing that can happen with any business out there when you just open up and listen to why the employees have, what their dreams are and what they need to do. So really, people don't really look at and think about what an impact they can have on their team just by understanding a little bit about their goals and really what drives them to win.
Yeah, and what I've seen from, like, I like to use this a local shop here in town that I've gone to for years as an example. The owner, Jimmy, he's had employees or artists working for him for 7-8 years, has very little turnover. It seems like if he hires the right people to fit in,
right.
But he's one of the most caring people that you'll ever meet. And he does events and he includes his artists. And it really does. When you go in there, you could tell everybody that's been there for a while, really likes each other. It's a family vibe. And that's, I know most artists, that's where they want to work. So being able to showcase that and build that family is huge.
Right. And because we all know somebody that gets a tattoo, what do you know they're going to do again? Get another tattoo.
Yeah.
But my wife, we got married 12 years ago and we both got tattoos and she'd never had one in her life. And I said, yeah, once you do this, you'll get another one. No, I will not. I'll never get another one. I was on a trip a year later, came home and she had another tattoo. Right. So it's but that's the whole thing, is that's lends itself to that family aspect of being able to put some roots down and be able to feel like they're part of a team. That team becomes family, right? And doing that, and just, the little things can make a difference. Bring in lunch or have dinner brought in or something. Just those things that. And I go back to when I used to work for the power company. We had linemen, right? They're union employees. Everybody gets paid the same. And we supply them with everything they need in the morning when they get on the truck and go to the field, even though they've got Gatorade in the cooler or whatever they want to have in there. Stopping by and bringing them drinks, even though they have them in the cooler, but you took the time to stop and bring them drinks or do something, made the world a difference as to whether or not they would actually would do the things that you asked them to do and actually went above and beyond for you because they didn't have to. It's just those little things, because human nature is human nature. It's the little things, little big doors swing on tiny hinges. Because sometimes, just like you mentioned, if anybody listening to this podcast does one or two of the things that we've talked about, then it's going to make a huge difference and a huge impact on what you're doing when you're looking at recruiting artists to come work in your shop.
100%, man. It's kind of amazing when you see the difference between shops that essentially just hire completely 100% off artwork, or who's going to be, a new apprentice because they're going to be cheap, and just the atmosphere in the shop. And if you look at that long term, I mean, people can tell the atmosphere of a shop when they walk into it. I mean, when clients come in, they know pretty quickly if they're going to want to come back and get tattooed. So not only does this help inside the shop, but this is going to help your bottom line over the long term. Because if you have this great, happy environment, people are going to be so much more willing to come back and get tattooed by you instead of going to another shop, because you had a crappy environment and artists arguing and artists not showing up because they're not happy. So it really affects all aspects of the business.
Yeah, it really does. I mean, the thing is that we've all encountered it. You can tell a difference whenever you go through the drive-through at McDonald's, right? If a person is engaged and if they're an ambassador. So the other thing is, when you have engaged employees, they become an ambassador for the brand, right? They're not ashamed to tell people where they work. They want to tell people where they work. They want to, and they'll also bring other skilled artists in as well, right? Because they don't look at another skilled artist as being competition. They look at having other skilled artists in there as building a stronger place to be.
Mm-hmm.
Because 100%. You could have one great artist and six horrible ones, and it's not going to do you any good as good as if you had 3 great artists.
Yeah, all around. I know you got to go pretty soon. Really quick,
Yeah.
On the flip side of that, if you're an artist looking for a job or a new shop, what would you tell them? What should they be looking for?
Look for just the things we talked about. Look for, first of all, it's like, how do they find out about the position? Look at how the shop is positioning themselves, if there are ads for it that they see. Or even if somebody says, hey, you know what, if it comes to you said before, it's like referrals, like the people they get, or do you know anybody, or they get referrals, is look at how you're greeted when you walk in the door. Don't walk in the door as a tattoo artist, walk in the door like you're going to be a customer. Mm-hmm. See how you're greeted, see what the atmosphere is like, and see if that's somewhere that you walk in the door. And here's the thing, human physiology is physiology, doesn't matter. If you walk in the door and you get a I don't know feeling in your gut, probably not the place. If you walk in the door and it's like, you kind of feel like a breath of fresh air, and it's like you get sort of like they're talking with you and you feel this vibe and you get goosebumps, that's your body telling you that this probably is a great place to be. And I know that sounds woo-woo and whatever else, but it really is, it really is. You can go by that a lot of times, because whenever you get the goosebumps or you get that feeling, it's resonating with you. Whenever you have when you get the repulsion or the sick feeling in your stomach, it's not, it's repelling you for a reason. So I trust my gut and all, and I do that a lot of times. Whenever I'm talking to a client on Zoom, whenever I'm going through my sales process, if I don't get a good feeling, I will still send them information, but there's no way I will sign them as a client, because it just probably would never get any better. And that's maybe a negative way of thinking, but I trust my physiology more than I do my brain. Because I'm not the smartest, I'm not the sharpest knife in the drawer sometimes. So I depend on my gut reaction to whether or not I think it's going to be the right thing.
Yeah, and I think that's great. I mean, I can't remember what book I was reading, but something about your gut instinct is usually right, and then we typically turn that around in our brain. We overthink it, like, no, it'll be fine, and then
here's what we do: we rationalize it, right?
Yeah.
You know how we rationalize with rational lies. That we convince ourselves of it. But like I said, it's not the end all be all, but the other thing is, look at when you walk in, there's little things. Look at the environment. Is the shop clean? Do they have great artwork on the wall? Does it look like somewhere that you're walking into that you would feel comfortable with one of your best clients walking in to see you there? And then of course it comes down to, what is the percentage that they're going to take for the chair, for their commission, the chair rental, whatever, the booth rental. my dad was a barber, so I always call it chair rental, right? Because he would rent the chair to the other barbers. So, but yeah, that's what I would look at.
That's also a good point, is I guess if you're an artist and you're trying to build this clientele in a new city, or you just moved to a new shop, and what that client sees, this new clientele you're building up, they're walking in and it's a dirty shop and they're never going to come back because it's gross in there, or again, it's a bad environment. Not only does it affect the shop, but it affects you as an artist, because you're going to have less people coming back in.
Yeah. I mean, it's just the same. I mean, I look at it, if like I said, my dad was a barber. You walked into his shop, I mean, the magazines were just right. The Coke machine was full. The hair was swept up off the floor. Everything was clean and pristine. You will go across town to a competitor's shop, and that the competitor's barber shop, then the guy had been there, he'd been cutting hair all day. There was hair all over the floor, the little Kleenex things that they put around your neck, all that stuff. And it's just, where would you rather spend your time?
Yeah.
And it's the same kind of thing, right? My dad would have had to turn barbers away from coming over to work for him, because the shop was such a great place to be and had such a higher level of clientele than the other shops. And he was the most expensive barbershop in town. That's the other thing. You don't want to be the discount tattoo shop.
No, you do not. Well, Jody, I know you got to get ready for another meeting. I massively appreciate this. I definitely think this is a lot of good, because again, we get asked all the time about how to hire artists. And so rather have somebody like you come on here who, I mean, this is your profession. This is what you're really good at. And everything that we've talked through, I think, again, even if just shop owners implement one or two, if not everything we've talked about, like, you're going to have a very different experience with not only the applicants you're actually talking to, the ones that are going to take the time to record the videos and stuff, but who you're going to hire and the atmosphere you're going to have in your shop.
Yeah. Here's one more thing I want to leave with.
Yes.
Do a video tour of your shop, right? So what we do is that we have our clients do like a recruiting video where we actually interview them, like on Zoom, but we ask them about their benefits, about the pay, about the shop, and they walk around the shop and they show their trucks and their branding. Do a virtual tour of your shop. Show them the things that you're most proud of about the shop. And if there's other artists working, just ask them, hey, so Tony, why do you work here? Tell me why this is the shop you choose to work in, and have that that you can send to prospects as well. That's another thing that goes a long way.
I like that. I think one of the biggest misconceptions that people that are hiring think is it's all about the person applying to put on this good show and this good facade. If you want to attract the best people, you have to show your best self as well, and the best side of your business and why people should work for you.
I tell people all the time. So like, you wouldn't run an ad that says, hey, if you have good credit, if you have $1,000 cash and you already know exactly what kind of tattoo you would like to have with the color schemes and everything, come on in, we'll do a tattoo for you. No, that's not how you run an ad for tell me you run an ad for tattoo shop listing all the reasons that they should come there, right?
Yeah.
If you come, so like you run ads for give me an example of an ad for a tattoo shop.
So it'll be good art, clean shop, friendly artists, if they're doing some kind of deal. But yeah, it's definitely got to be a good reason why they should pick your shop over your competitors.
You have to run an employment ad the same way. You can't be, you got to have this, and this. You can put that at the end, but you got to put all the reasons. Same way you run an ad to get customers, you kind of do the same thing in order to get a good candidate, because you have to appeal to them. Because really, I mean, in home services, it's an employee's market. I have a sinking suspicion that with great artists, they probably can go where they want to.
100%. Yeah.
So you gotta be attractive to them as much as they have to be attractive to you.
I like that. That's a good point. Awesome, Jody. Massively appreciate it again, my friend.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I'm more than happy to come on here and to help. And hopefully if you got one or two things out of there, my goal here was to make sure that the time you take to be on here is worth the while.